Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna do another video for you guys in acrylics. So today I'm gonna do like another Florida scene. Well, I live in Florida, so basically it's what I'm gonna do. Um, so I started off already blocking in some of the big shapes. Basically only used 2 to 3 colors to make these block ends. I use ultramarine blue and burnt umber to do these, should I say, my initial block end. And I just use the same color here, ultramarine blue and burnt umber, except I used a little bit of white to give it a little bit more distance. So going from there, we're going to start working on sky. I'm going to block in the whole entire, not canvas, panel. And we'll go from there. So this is an 8x10 cradled wood panel. Love painting on wood. You guys should try it. So my color palette, I have cad yellow medium, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and white. I may add a color and or two or not, depending on how this painting progresses. So I got all these cool colors. Now I'm going to make like a little bit of a warm sky. So let me see. I'm going to use my number 6 flat brush. Seems appropriate for that size. You always want to go with your biggest brush, so to avoid, at the beginning to get a little bit too detailed in your painting. So use the biggest brush in the beginning so you don't get too detailed. And use a smaller brush as you progress with your painting for more detail. So on with this. So I'm gonna make like a pinkish warm sky. Maybe add a little bit of a burnt umber. I'm using ultramarine. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. I'm using alizarin crimson, a lot of white, and a little bit of burnt umber to tone down this crimson. There you go. I don't know if the camera's picking this up or not, but so just paint around all the big area shapes first. And I'm trying to use thick paint to block in the sky, so I don't have to go too much over it. Now, since this is an acrylics, now most of you know already by now that acrylic doesn't have the same covering power that oils do. Okay, so you have an initial stage which you're working in, and then you may have to go back, like I may do with this sky, and add a second layer. It's possible, not all the time. Sometimes you kind of want it thinned out, a thin sky, and sometimes you just want it a little bit more evenly coated. This is what you call putting in your sky holes. And you notice I'm not even using a small brush for this. Just using the edge of my brush. So very impressionistic and painterly kind of a painting. All right. If you feel your paint are getting a little bit sticky, especially with acrylics, add more water to the mix. I only use water when I do. A lot of people ask me that question: what kind of medium do I use to work with my acrylics? I don't. I only use water. Works good enough for me. Maybe if you do a lot of thin glazing, you might want to use glazing medium that Golden sells. but I never found the need for it. So it's up to you, whatever you want to do. So while this is wet, I'm trying to get as much of the blending in while I can. Not to say that I'm not going to put any other colors into this water, but most likely I will put some reflections from the sky into the water. So now I'm just going to plop down some green colors here and there. Got yellow medium, so let's put some colors here and there and like this, and the colors kind of look thin initially. That's okay, because remember, we're going to be adding highlights later on too. So you want to keep things a little bit thin initially. Just wherever you feel those branches are going to be. Have some branches going down. Yes, I am going over some of the painting that I did already, and you will see why. Use every angle of that brush. Because it's a little bit more distant on this tree than that tree, this could be, since it's forward, will be darker. Basically all these are the same mixtures, except I added more white to this mixture over here and more yellow. Okay, so give it more distance. And here, same as this. Okay, same as this distance, I just added a little more blue to this color and less yellow and some white, not as much white. So to change the perspectives, okay? I hope I was clear about that. So it's all the same mixture, just different variation, how much white and how much of one color I'm using to make these colors. So right now I'm still just working with 3 colors here to do all this. So now I added Prussian blue and cad yellow light to my palette, just so I could have cooler colors going into this. So all right, let's get on. And then we're just going to ad-lib as we go. I'm going to be working throughout this whole canvas here. So let's go with some colder greens by doing Prussian blue, and right now let's use cad yellow medium and Prussian blue. Going to give you a nice, beautiful, almost like a sap green. So now these are my mid-tone colors. I'm just using the edge of my brush here. Whoop. The edge of my brush. just to describe the shape and whichever way I want the direction of the leaves to go. And you notice I'm not filling all the gaps here, and there's a reason why. Just like that a little bit. Here we go. Maybe a little bit on this side. Same mixture, just define these trees a little bit more. That's what's nice with acrylics. I could work in any fashion I want, really. I could add darks, I could add lights at any point in the painting that I want. So here, while the painting's still somewhat wet, just blend in some of the colors, and I'm going very light. Okay, let it blend with some of the still semi wet colors down here. Bring this up even more. I'm just using a liner brush. Tree's a little bit too dark. Get some branches back here. And I add a lot of water to my brush just to keep the paint moving a little bit more fluid. Initially the colors are going to look very light to you, but remember this is acrylic, so it'll dry a little bit darker, so it's okay. You could always go back and add colors. Let's make some sky holes. Make some, define some of these tree branches a little bit. Try to do some here as well. Define some of these limbs a little bit more. Yeah, let's put some hanging moss first. For the hanging moss, I'm going to use ultramarine blue, a little bit of cad ultramarine blue, I'm sorry. I don't want to confuse you here. Ultramarine blue, burnt umber, alizarin crimson, and some white. Maybe just a little dab of cad yellow, just to tone it down a bit. There you go. Here, some hanging moss here and there. And I'm just using a flat brush for this. All right, let's put in this tree I was talking about. All right, this is a filbert, but a #1 filbert. Okay, so let's design a tree real quick. Alizarin crimson, some ultramarine blue. Let's go burnt umber a little bit, maybe a little bit of white. There we go. So now I just put the general shape of the tree. So now I'm just going to fill it in with a mid-tone color. Put a little branch coming down. Fill this tree up, fatten it up a little bit. There you go, not very detailed. We don't want too much detail. If any one of you have ever seen a bald cypress, you know, like the base is like very striated from the different root system. It's got a very, very strong root system. Let's make a reflection of the tree. Nothing too detailed. Then I just clean my brush out with water. Don't put any paint, and then I just swipe back and forth. Give it the look of movement in the water. just the outer edges here of the tree. Give more color, define this tree even more. So like I said, I use this orange color, this highlight that you see. Just add a little bit more blue to this mix to give me this gray down bluish color to more vividly define this bald cypress here. There you go. Maybe a little bit more stronger blue towards the back, give it a more of a cool color. Now I'm going to go back to my greens. Now I want to make this tree like it's a little bit behind some of these plants here. So I'm going to add more plants over here just to hide the trunk a little bit. So I'm going back to my Prussian and Cad yellow light. Just go right over it. Don't even worry. Just go right over some of that. I'm just using the corner edge of this brush. Hope you guys can see that. And I'm just flicking down. Almost like an upside down comma. And the reason I'm doing it dark is so that to contrast against the background hanging moss that I already did. Have it hang lower. Let's give some highlight to some of these mosses here. Not everywhere, just some places. probably some highlights here too, wherever you think the sun's going to be hitting. Some of these Spanish moss. Okay, now let's work on some of the highlights on parts of these outward laying branches here. Filtering some of the sun color. So to make this color, these highlights here, I just did Prussian blue, cad yellow light, and a little bit of burnt umber just to tone down and filter down that light. As I come closer, the chroma or the intensity of the color is going to be a lot brighter, okay, a lot more stark. So now I'm going to use more of the cad yellow and Prussian blue, and no burnt umber. And you can see the light's going to be brighter as I get closer. I'm just using some ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and cad yellow medium, just putting in like a glaze just to darken this area a little bit. That's all I'm doing. So now I'm just using some alizarin crimson and white just to make some of these highlights in the water. Not putting too much water on my brush. Just enough. It's like semi-damp. Let's add a little bit of blue. Amongst all that red, just to give that warm and cool warm and cool color effect. There you go. Put a nice little highlight over here. I'm putting some holes here just to show like the river just goes back there, leading your eye around the corner. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed the painting. Hope to see you guys. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section, or any questions, should I say. And hopefully I'll see you again on the next painting. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe.